UFC 276 is going down tonight. T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. We want to help you make some money. Welcome into Combat Center. I am Alex Donno, joined by our friend Jason from ParamountSports.com. Our buddies Jason and Lee Sterling do an awesome job getting us set for these fight cards, helping us put some money in our pocket. Jason, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Alex. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing really well. And before we get into some of the big time selections we can make on this card, this is an incredibly stacked card, Jason. And like in this era where the UFC puts on so many events, they're basically on every single week, pay-per-views around once a month, 3 fight night cards usually per month. The fact that we have so many incredible fights on one card with Adesanya back, the Volk Holloway trilogy fight, Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira, Robbie
Amazing.
Lawler, Brian Barberena, Sean OMalley kicks off the main card. You got Donald Cerrone and Jim Miller on the prelims. Like, this one almost seems too good to be true.
Well, they really loaded up for International Fight Week. I think they believe they have so many eyes on them this week. There's about 10 fights in here that could be co-main events on a fight card or main events. It's just an incredible card. Great matchups too. Love the contrast and styles.
Yeah, and listen, when it comes to making these selections, I'm big into the betting space, but I am not an expert. You are an expert, sir. So we'll take a look first. We like to give the people what they want to start things out. You've got Israel Adesanya against Jared Cannonier. Adesanya, the middleweight champion of the world, one of my favorite fighters to watch, even though his last 3 fights have gone to a decision. He's had some really exciting finishes in his day, and Jared Cannonier has that fight-ending power. Now, with that said, and people can see this, I'm looking at a graphic from OddsShark with all the offshore books. There's a big variance on this, Jason, where, just going by the offshores, if you're on one sports book, you get Israel Adesanya at minus 525, or if you're on another, you get him at minus 300, or you can get Cannonier plus 375. If you like him as the underdog, you probably want to use Bet Online for that one, or you can get him at plus 220. So, okay, do you think Cannonier has a shot here? And if not, if you're thinking it's Adesanya's fight to lose, where do you find some value beyond that big number in his favor?
Well, in this fight, I would have to use Adesanya as a prop bet, or Cannonier as a prop bet, or use it in a parlay. I see Cannonier's only route to victory here is a knockout. He's not going to submit him, most likely. So if you're going to take Cannonier, somewhere along the line, he's going to have to hit Izzy with a big shot, which he's capable of doing. He doesn't necessarily have the speed to do it, but he does have the power. And Izzy, he does have some nice finishes, but in general, he likes to stay at range, throw leg kicks, wait for his opportunities. So I would go Izzy by decision, most likely, or just for the win in a parlay, or Cannonier for the KO.
I like that a lot. And listen, Jared Cannonier, it's a good story how, he's gone from heavyweight all the way down to middleweight, and he has taken a lot of that power with him. So I fully agree with your assessment, Jason. I'm rolling with Adesanya to win this fight. I'm probably going to put him in a parlay because I'm definitely not betting him, minus 500. That's just not the way that I roll. If anyone out there feels like that's an okay way to use your money, go ahead. But I do agree with what you said, that if Cannonier is going to win this fight, I don't think he will. He's got to win it by knockout, because he doesn't really pose a wrestling threat either, because the guys that have given Adesanya the most trouble, I mean, Jan Blachowicz with his size and wrestling, Yoel Romero made it interesting with his wrestling threat. Yeah, we don't get any of that with Cannonier.
Right. And Cannonier, when he's done with this, he could really do something with weight loss. His body transformation has been incredible. He his transformation from heavyweight to light heavyweight to middleweight now, incredible. Absolutely. He needs to let people know the secret.
Yeah. Now, if we go down to the co-main event, which despite the fact you don't often get trilogies when one fighter has beaten the other both times, but their second fight, Volkanovski and Holloway, I thought Holloway was done a disservice on the scorecards. I thought he should have been the winner, Max Holloway, of that second fight. I can understand why Volk is a slight favorite, but the odds are a lot closer, Jason, for this one, certainly than they are for the main event. You know, you can get Alex Volkanovski in the minus 190 range, depending on the sports book. You know, you can get Max Holloway in plus money, plus 155, plus 165, something along those lines. So these guys have fought 10 full rounds against one another in the octagon, and it's been really good and really close. Both fights were very close, especially the second one. So are you leaning towards the champion Volkanovski, or do you like Max Holloway here to pull off a very mild upset?
Well, I had Volkanovski 4 rounds to 1 at least. I think the first fight was close. In the second fight, the first 2 rounds, Volkanovski was winning. I thought both of the first 2 rounds until he got dropped, and he did get dropped. The first, I can't remember the second round. The first round, he got dropped with a head kick with about 10 seconds left, and immediately got up, which of course caused him to lose the round. But I thought Volkanovski got it done. It wasn't pretty, but I thought he won the last 3 rounds. So I did give him the decision. It was not what the fans wanted, not exciting the way he won. But I believe that Volkanovski has more tools than Holloway. Holloway, to me, is too one-dimensional. He did add the leg kicks in his second fight because he got chewed up the first time. But these guys that are excellent strikers, such as Holloway, and he is amazing. He really hasn't evolved his game enough. Where Volkanovski, to me, is getting better every time. And I think the best Volkanovski beats the best Holloway. Holloway has been through 2 wars since then. He did what he did to Cater. Could have been it should have been stopped. I mean, what he did to Cater was so ugly. But he took a lot of punches in that fight. And then also in the Yair fight, which most people thought was going to be a pretty easy victory, he took a lot of punishment. So, and if you look at Volk, yeah, he did almost get finished a couple of times by Ortega. He almost get caught in those 2 submissions. But other than that, he really didn't take any punishment. And he just destroyed the zombie. So I like Volkanovski. He's so strong everywhere. He can wrestle, leg kick, punch. He can take a hit. He can come back. His cardio is there. In another great fight, I think Volkanovski inches him out. I don't see a finish. Holloway is not a KO guy, and Volkanovski is not a KO guy for someone of the caliber of Holloway. I don't believe so. I like Volk by decision.
Okay, so do you like the specific prop of Volk by decision, or should people just go with Volk around the minus 190 range, you think?
Well, you can play either one. If you want sure money, I would just take Volk, because there is the outside chance of a finish. But if you want to, tighten it up a little bit, you can go by decision. With these lately, I've been telling people, for them to make the choice on that. I believe that Volkanovski is going to win this fight. I believe most likely it's going to be by decision. With the very small outside possibility of a finish, I would take the sure money and just take him for the win.
I agree 100%, and that's what I'm going to do personally, because the few things are more frustrating in when you try to get so specific with method of victory, and then the fighter you picked wins, but he wins the wrong way, and you're like, oh, I wish I had just gone for the W. Now, you do that sometimes when that fighter has really like big odds, but when it's like this, minus 190, maybe it's minus 185 in some places, yeah, I would stick to just the sure thing. I'm with you on that. By the way,
or if it's their only path to victory.
Right. True. Yeah, like certain heavyweight guys by knockout, maybe. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I want to remind everybody, if you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it later on, do us a solid, smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is a simulcast. Maybe you're watching this on 5 Reasons Sports. Hit the like button. If you're into fight content, we're also simulcasting this on the Combat Center channel, I should say, Combat Center. So make sure you subscribe to Combat Center. That's where you get all the fight content only. So if you're a fight fan and nothing else, you don't get all the other, Heat stuff and Dolphin stuff. And obviously, if you're a 5 Reasons viewer, you probably want that stuff in your life. If you're a combat sports guy, maybe you don't. All right, so going down again through a really, really rich main card here. I love this fight, and I think that this, to me, I look at this as an opportunity for Sean Strickland, that he's only a minus 125 favorite, or minus 115, or even minus 110 in some places. It's basically a pick'em fight between Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira. I am favoring Sean Strickland in this one. So when I see odds this close, I look at that as an opportunity to make some money.
I absolutely love Sean Strickland in this fight. I had the opportunity to go to the Apex last weekend, and Sean Strickland was one of the coaches for Chris Action Man Curtis.
Nice.
And his coaching advice was so right on. He was helping Chris stuff the takedowns, and he was telling Chris, go forward, go forward. Every time Chris went forward after stuffing the takedown, he was landing. And then Chris would take a step back, and Sean would say, don't take a step back, you go forward. And every time he listened to his coach, he did it. That was a beautiful fight, the way he stuffed those 20 takedowns. Anyway, Sean Strickland is not given any credit as a wrestler, not given any credit as a grappler. He was just given credit, I'm talking about by the fans. Johnny Eben, who defeated Gegard Mousasi, won all 5 rounds in the Bellator light heavyweight championship, I believe. Won all 5 rounds. He credited Sean Strickland with his wrestling. Now, Sean's a big talker. He's talking about doing the man dance, and he was the star of that press conference by far. Makes me laugh as long as I don't take him too seriously. He's a little scary if I take him too seriously.
Yeah.
But I believe Strickland is going to be the smarter fighter in the sense that he has all that experience. And I believe that Pereira is going to be on his back before you know it and tapping before you know it.
I love it. Yeah, and Strickland's a weird dude. I mean, a lot of people, he turned off a lot of people months ago when that quote came out about him, like, actually trying to kill opponents in the octagon. And then I watched, he did his own, like, MTV Cribs spoof a few months back, where he lives in, like, a very poorly furnished Las Vegas apartment. And, like, he takes a handgun with him down to the mailbox in case he needs to shoot a crackhead, is what he said. So he's a polarizing dude. There's a lot of people who don't like Sean Strickland very much. Now, the last fight that I wanted to ask you about, and then we'll get into any bonus selection that you might have. We're talking with Jason from Paramount Sports. So this is pretty exciting. Big step up in competition for Sean O'Malley, who so far he's been a needle mover. Like, this guy is dynamic. I don't know if he'll ever have the same career trajectory, but you have a little bit of like Conor McGregor in the way he's sort of promoting and rising up the ranks. Not quite as quickly as Conor did it, of course, but Sean O'Malley taking on Pedro Munoz. O'Malley is favored on every sports book, anywhere ranging from, minus 310 to around minus 250. Could be his toughest test to date in Munoz. Do you think that O'Malley is going to pass that test?
I really enjoy watching O'Malley fight. This is one I'm staying away from, and this is one that scares me a little bit for O'Malley. Munoz has not been finished, I don't believe, ever in his UFC career. Throws a lot of leg kicks. Too many times he doesn't throw enough volume, but what he does throw is leg kicks. And Sean O'Malley has gotten into trouble with leg kicks before. There was the one leg kick against Chito Vera that paralyzed the nerve in his foot. I understand why Sean doesn't take that as a loss, because he was actually doing really well in that fight.
Right.
But it paralyzed him. And there was another fight, Andre Sukuntouch. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Early in his career. Now, Andre did basically the same thing to Sean's foot, but didn't have the fight IQ to realize all he had to do was stand up and the fight was over. He actually went to the mat with him. It was the worst, the lowest fight IQ I've ever seen. And to me, the more I watch this, fight IQ and listening to your coaches is so important. And I can give you a million examples of that, even just from last week's card. But I would stay away because I would want to see how Sean does against someone with the leg kicks of Munoz. I still favor him to win, but since the odds are so big, I would back away. Sometimes I like to do a wait and see, and until O'Malley proves to me that he can make it past a kicker like that, I would lay off it personally.
I think that's fair, and sometimes the best bets are the ones you don't make. So I can co-sign on that. That's all I wanted to ask you about. But Jason, I would encourage you because this card is so rich. If there's anything else you're really looking at, if there's anything burning on your brain, let us know what else we can look at here.
Well, I love virtually every fight. I love. Okay, actually, we're gonna go to the Ian Gary Gabriel Green fight.
Yep, looking at it right here.
Yeah,
Wow,
another
this one,
Jalen Turner fight.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's a prop bet I like on this.
Mhm.
So Ian Gary is a young guy, really brash. This is his third fight in the UFC. He fought Darian Weeks. Trying to remember who he fought the second time. He styles himself as a sort of a newer Conor McGregor. He's a young, brash kid. He comes in and he seems to like getting hit. And he's gotten hit in both of his fights, and he's finished his fights. But I believe that Gabriel Gifted Green is a guy that you do not want to get hit by. And so it's plus 600 for Green to get the knockout.
Ooh.
And I'm thinking that a lot of times these young fighters, they have a little bump in the road early in their career. And I believe today Ian Gary is going to get that bump in the road when he fights Gifted Gabe Green. I believe he gets caught and he gets knocked out. And we're gonna take a little bet on him at 6-1 to get knocked out.
I love that. That's really good stuff. And guys, before we run here, I want to remind you, hold on, let me pull up, let me share my screen again. I'm really, really bad at this technology stuff, as you can see, Jason. So it always, whenever I need to pull up like a fancy graphic, it always takes me a minute to do that. All right. So I want to remind you guys, we have a new sports betting partner on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. They've been with the network a couple months. They've been with me for only a week, and that's Better Edge. And I think what makes Better Edge so special is, first of all, it's fully legal in 45 states, including Florida. It's a social platform. It's peer-to-peer. This is not run by a casino. This is not run by a traditional sports book, which is really good because they're not taking juice. You're not paying fees to use this site. You're actually taking odds against someone else. Another human being is on the other side of that. And it's also pretty interesting because you can essentially make your own odds. If you don't want to bet minus 525 for Israel Adesanya, you can find somebody on the other side of like a minus 200. You can get better odds on this. And again, fully legal in the state of Florida, so you'll have no issue putting your money in, taking your money out. There's absolutely nothing shady about it whatsoever. And if you sign up at betteredge.com, that's BETTOR edge.com, use our special referral link, which is betteredge.com/5 reasons, the number 5 reasons, betteredge.com/5 reasons. And immediately you can claim a $20 referral bonus. So Ethan Skolnick, Daddy Skolnick, is going to hook you up and get you guys started with a $20 referral bonus. So check it out, betteredge.com/5 reasons, and welcome them to the family. And also huge shout out to Jason and Lee at Paramount Sports. And Jason, so this is all in harmonies, right? You can make your bets at betteredge.com after Paramount Sports tells you who to bet. What can people find today and this weekend at paramountsports.com?
Perfect. What could be better? So at Paramount Sports, we were trying to narrow it down to 7, but we have 8 plays this week for $57. And if you go to www.paramountsports.com and pick purchase picks, you'll see it there. And once you purchase picks, they'll open up in a window. And if you ever have any questions, you can always reach us via text, email, via the call-in line, which is 1-800-400-9741. We're always here for you. If you have any questions at all, and that's Paramount Sports, 8 picks for $57.
I love it. That's a great price, great deal. Jason, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again before the next pay-per-view.
Okay. Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Good
guys. Make
weekend,
sure
everybody.
make sure everyone subscribes. Combat Center on YouTube, 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. We'll be talking to you guys. Frank, Jonathan, and myself will talk to you guys tomorrow morning after the fights.